Hey guys, and welcome back to Heavy Metal and You. Whew. Last episode, we read 2 chapters, so we are now on chapter 5, Night Prowler. Play. Tuesday night, and I was amazed that I was actually doing this. Apparently, so was she. Her door opened, and she had this urgent look on her face like she'd expected me to remember which wire to cut, because otherwise the bomb would blow and the scarred villain would get away. "I cannot believe you're here. Come in, now." Her hand yanked me in by my collar, and she slammed the door behind me. "Missed you too, darling." "Hey," she said, pointing at me, "I missed you fine without you calling me from a payphone and showing up at my house for no reason. You cannot be here for too long." "Why not?" "Because there's work and I have school tomorrow, so you can't." She stopped talking because by then I was right in front of her, staring straight down into her eyes. She pressed herself against me and started breathing heavy. "You can't." My arms folded around her waist, and my face got so close to hers that I could feel her breath on my lips. And life was a fairy tale with me cast as the world's most unorthodox Prince Charming. Oh. But soft, passionate, sexy, but romantic. The best kiss I'd ever had. She placed her cool, soft hands on either side of my face and pulled me to her, the palms running slowly down my cheeks. And for that brief, warm, soft moment, everything else managed to melt away. "Melissa, honey?" a voice called from down the hall. The kiss ended suddenly, shattered. She looked in fear towards her parents' room and said, "Yes, Daddy?" "Have you seen my keys?" I'm not sure." "Go, go, go. Did you check your jacket pocket? Get in my room right now." I bolted into her room, closing the door quietly behind me. Then I took a look around. The person's room says a lot about the person, just like his or her music. Pictures of Ewan McGregor, a Weezer poster, my mix was saved, and various stuffed animals greeted me, as well as the wonderful underwear on the floor. A post-it note on the wall over the bed read, "Melissa, don't forget your math book." Melissa. And one next to it flattered me. It had my name and number written on it with a word, "Eee!" scribbled below. I heard the door shut behind me and her voice whispered, "You should not be here." "I thought you'd be impressed with my romantic skills," I said, turning to her face. Christ, she was adorable when she was angry. She was standing there with her hands on her hips, jutting out into perfect points at the elbows. Her hair was all mussed, and she had this look on her face that screamed, "I can't believe you," and "Come right here," at the same time. Her smile curled up at the corner. That smile, I decided right then, was to be my eventual demise. "This isn't a Shakespeare play, buddy," she chided. "I have a lot of work to do. You need to leave." "I'll help you with your work. I take chemistry," she purred, turning away from me. "Not anatomy." Yeah, I know. I nearly died of lust right there. I yanked open my bag and dug through it, finally managed to get out 3 words. "Mix. I have." She stopped to stare at me like I was an alien, which was understandable considering I sounded like Yoda. I pulled a CD out of my bag and handed it to her. "Your mix. I made it. Here you go." "Ooh!" She scampered over, snatching it out of my hands and scanning the artist on it. I watched her eyes change their shape and direction, sometimes looking shocked, sometimes excited, sometimes just plain weirded out. "Cradle of Filth? Prong?" She looked up bemused, a little frightened at the same time. "Borknager?" "The name's silly, but the song's really good, trust me." I'm intrigued, she whispered, walking slowly towards me, her hands behind her back. Showing up at my place so late just to give me a CD? Distracting me from my work? You are a bad influence, Samuel Marcus. I try. She was close to me now, her face a couple of inches in front of me. Do you now? A hand snaked up around my neck, caressing the side of my face. She bit half of her lower lip, and parts of my brain detached and attempted to slither out of my ears. So, do you, still want me to leave? 'Cause... Shh. She put her finger to my lips. Silly boy. Come here. I pulled her close in my arms for another moment of worldly bliss. We held each other tightly and tumbled onto her bed, giggling and touching and falling, caught in midair, floating. I wasn't being his usual... Oh, I was floating momentarily with the girl I adored. Suddenly, God wasn't being his usual bastard deity self, and things weren't too bad, you know. And now we were surrounded by mountains of fluffy, downy pillow. Her head against my chest, her hand on my leg, tapping out my heartbeat. I memorized it, took a photograph of the moment in my mind, and stored it away. She stroked my chest with her other hand and giggled. You're shaking a little, she whispered. Nervous, I mumbled. My hands feel huge and my head's a blur. There's a spike poking me in the back, dearie. Exactly right there. Perfect example. This is so great, so wonderful, and I jab you with a steel spike. I like your spikes. I like spikes too. I suddenly wanted a fridge door to repeatedly slam my head in. I like spikes too? Why? Because they're pretty like flowers, you ignorant simp. She didn't notice, choosing instead to stop beating out my pulse and putting both of her hands flat against my chest. She sighed. Not a world-weary, tired sigh, but a contented things-are-good sigh. I was happy. So I decided to say that. I'm happy. You don't smile enough, was her response. What are you talking about? I'm talking about you. You don't smile enough. You have a nice smile. So go ahead. Smile. I smiled and instinctively put my hand over my mouth. Aha, my weakness revealed. And you see, you cover it up every time. It's not fair. You're great. Thank you, dear. But you should still smile more. Run away with me. No, that's dumb. Be quiet. I glanced down at her, disheartened. That's a nice way to butcher some romance. Well, I mean, come on, hon. I couldn't just up and leave my life. I've got too many things here that I care about. I couldn't just run from all of that. It'd be stupid. Silence. Her logic nailed me. I was never one for power of logic, instead allowing the power of goofiness, humor, and alcohol to take over. So I just lay there, staring at her ceiling, and at how white it was, wondering what she was thinking, and as if on cue she decided to tell me. Sammy? Uh-huh? Can I mean, it's kind of something I wanted to ask you. More silence. She continued. I've always wanted a companion, basically. Someone I could be with, who would take care of me and talk to me and be with me, like... Physically? Right. Exactly, and I would be that person's charge, basically, and I would give myself to them, and they could look after me, and we could be together, and... Yes. That's it. So what you're saying is that we could be a something. I would love to be a something with you, Sammy. I thought about it, and... Can we? Please? I became part of a something, and as we lay there with our hands and face on my chest, part of me did a little dance inside of my chest. For once, being accepted didn't seem like such a bad thing. Let's see. Just for the sake of progression, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing 2 chapters a video. So this is chapter 6, Living After Midnight. Pause. Frank Sinatra's song for Swingin' Lovers is one of the greatest albums of all time, damn it. There's no arguing. Anyone who claims otherwise has never listened to it, and if he or she has listened to it and doesn't like it, he or she is simply a moron. I mean, come on. Come on! There's more energy on that album than on any record made in the past 20 years. Well, with the possible exception of Metallica's Master of Puppets or Slayer's South of Heaven. Every song makes you want to make you want to get up and dance. There's like the first song, You Make Me Feel So Young, which is a happy-go-lucky world of childhood nostalgia, and then there's It Happened in Monterey, which bleeds bittersweet unrequited love. The bass solos and Too Marvelous for Words are worth the whole damn $16.99 plus tax, and right when the record's about to get bad, in comes Old Devil Moon and Pennies from Heaven. Damn, if it isn't one of the best records out there. Play. These were my exact thoughts as I strolled down East 86th Street when, between Lexington and 3rd, Frank was blasting into my ears and life was good. My father always played songs to me when I was a kid, and it stuck with me ever since. I used to think my dad was the coolest guy in the world, dancing around my living room to Pet Sounds and Exile on Main Street. Come to think of it, I still thought that. How about you? Dwindled on my headphones, followed by the extended eep of my Discman signaling the disc's final note. Frank was great. A fucking god. May he rest in peace. Now the chaser. Possessed 7 churches. Chicken soup for the death metal soul. A badly played version of the Tubular Bells spouted into my ears, followed by the grating, brutal angry fathers of death metal. Furious drumming and shredding guitar work blistered my brain, like washing down Smirnoff Ice with Jägermeister. Death, the band, mind you, needed to get off their high horse when it came to metal. These guys may not have been the first death metal band, but they may very well have been the best. The city wrapped around me. New York is like that. It just engulfs everything inside of it, becoming whatever you want it to be. With Sinatra on, the city seemed older, classier. Now, with Possessed destroying my brain cells, it was dark, angry place, ready to be pillaged. And who better to do so than Conan? I saw Brent standing with my little crew on the corner of Lex. With him were Irish Pudgy, Liam, who we called Pudgy for the utter lack of fat on his body, Tyler, who we called Tygirl for his penchant for feelings and cream-colored sweaters, Mark and Jamie. Brent, of course, was on his cell phone. Mark and Jamie, of course, were making out. Grinning, I cabbage-patched my way over to them. 7 churches got me going strong. Tonight was going to be good. I could feel it. Irish saw me across the street and waved me over, telling the guys and Jamie that I was here. Pudgy and Tygirl waved. Brent acknowledged my existence by widening his eyes and ending his phone conversation. "Fucker!" I yelled as I sauntered through heavy traffic. "Where the hell have you been all day?" "I was busy, that's all." "Yeah, right, busy. I spent the day with the new girl, didn't you, Sammy?" I grinned. He was dead on. I'd spent the entire day with Melissa, my fucking dream girl. I'd shown up at her place around 10:30 in the morning and hadn't left till about 6. We just stretched out there on her bed, talking and making out and yanking off each other's clothes and talking more and about everything. We taught each other. She explained The Tempest to me while I introduced her to Black Sabbath and Children of Bodom. She described her intricacies of Jack Kerouac while I told her about the murders and church burnings and the war between Mayhem and Burzum during the Norwegian black metal period of the early 90s. I'd been like that all fucking day. She was fun, like the Murder Dolls, but up close and personal, like Strapping Young Lad. Carefree, like the opening of an Ozzy album, and layered and deep, like an Opeth song. I liked this girl a whole lot. Brent caught my uncovered grin and smiled. "Aw, yeah," he bellowed. "Sammy got the head." That was Brent. A great friend and a fun guy, but totally misogynist asshole about anyone he didn't know. "Nah, it's not like that," I intervened. "Jesus, you've only been talking about her all fucking week," Irish said cynically. "Ooh, her hair, her skin, her body. Nya, 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 you little bitch. You're just jealous 'cause I'm getting some and you're not." I felt hatred radiate from Irish as he gave me the evil eye. He hadn't gotten any for the past 5 months, and it was getting to him. That was our teasing routine. Irish got straight A's, so I was constantly reminded of the fact that I wasn't going to Yale. I, on the other hand, had the ability to get action when I really wanted to, so he was always reminded by that when he was the only person going near his own pee-pee. Grinning, I turned to them all and barked. "So, ladies and gentlemen, what are we doing tonight?" "Going to the park and getting fucked up beyond belief," Pudgy replied, scratching the back of his head. "Perfect," I said. "By the way, Jamie, I heard about Irish Saturday night. How are your shoes doing?" Jamie shot me her winning smile filled with venom. "Fuck you, Conan." "Thought so." Rewind. I coughed violently, handling the devilish little thing back to Brent, while at the same time trying to wave smoke out of his bedroom window. He took a massive hit and turned back to me. "Good shit, right?" He managed to cough out. I shrugged. I didn't feel any different. Tasted fine, I guess. I took it back and pulled another drag, feeling my throat burn up for a second time. Brent's instructions ran through my head. "Fill your mouth with smoke, then take a breath in. The smoke will sort of ride the breath into your lungs. Then exhale." I blew out a massive puff of fragrant smoke, one that even Brent and Irish were surprised by. "Dude," Irish said, taking it from me in pinched fingers. "Is this really your first time?" I nodded slowly. Why was that so amazing? Did you just never want to? I shrugged. The opportunity never arose before is all. Irish took a deep drag and choked out. "Well, glad we're enablers." Brent laughed. "Enablers." Enablers. That was pretty funny, actually. Enablers. "Enema?" I said slowly, not quite sure why my face felt so heavy all of a sudden. Brent and Irish stared at me for a second, then began to giggle uncontrollably. "Jesus, Sam, where the fuck did that come from?" bellowed the red-headed punk in front of me. "Enema's a funny word," tittered Brent. "Dude," laughed Irish. "Ingmar Bergman." I began to laugh mindlessly, putting my hands over my mouth. Bah, am I? My whole body was racked with giggles. Ingmar Bergman? What was that? Why was it so fucking funny? "Bergman!" I screamed. "Bergman hamburger!" We fell to the floor laughing, Brent smacking his head on his bedside table on the way down. We lay convulsing on the carpet for another 15 minutes, occasionally thinking of funny words, like vas deferens and monocle, to keep the laughter going. Finally, after the last giggle, Irish reached out to his backpack and pulled out a 40-ounce bottle of malt liquor. "Okay, boys, who wants a drink?" I nearly tackled the fucker. Play. We sauntered our way to Fifth Avenue, discussing all things important. Music, each other's mothers, what we intended to do to each other's mothers, how much school sucked, etc. Mark and Jamie walked towards the back of our group, their eyes connected in an iron grip, and suddenly I felt like patting Mark on the back and grinning at him and telling him how lucky he was, because I was feeling that way too. I felt sorry for all the times I'd call him whipped, because it was just that way he was happy with a girl. It was the same way It was the same with the way we reminded Tygirl and Pudgy what bitches they were, but it was only because they had actual human emotions. They were cruel-ass preps like Brent. They weren't cruel-ass preps like Brent, or cynical punks like Irish or crazy metalheads like me. They were just cool guys with feelings, and we gave 'em shit for it. Pause. The girlfriend thing was always looked upon with furrowed brows amongst my friends and me. It was like, if you have one, bring her around so we can meet her, and that's it. We don't want to see her again. Our friendly gatherings were always specifically separate from our romantic lives. And while none of us actually said that, it was just sort of common knowledge. Nobody needed to say anything. Even Jamie knew that. She had nearly lost one boyfriend who claimed she was ashamed of him, and she refused to bring him around with us. Some of us had tried, and it was always failed. Either we hated the girlfriend, or the girlfriend wasn't into our particular brand of humor. Irish once had a girlfriend who insisted on coming out with us one night, and was so disgusted by our coarseness that she left early. He broke up with her shortly after. There were exceptions, of course. Jamie had been our mutual friend for so long that when she and Mark started going out, she wasn't considered girlfriend. She was just one of the guys. There was a saying we went by, bros before hoes. Girls were great, but your friends are what counted. Play. We made it to the park in no time, heading to a relatively isolated area somewhat downtown, which we called the Rock Park. It had these stone plateaus and bridges and ramps connecting them. Perfect place to get drunk or high. The first time we came here, I got so stoned. Pardon me. That I started stumbling around, waving my fists and growling at anyone who came near me. Occasionally barking, "I am a barbarian!" That night, due to my spiked leather and intoxicated belligerence, I was given my nickname, Conan the Barbarian. We climbed up onto the plateau of concrete and passed out the booze, which consisted of Georgie vodka, Old English 800, Jack Daniels, and Colt 45. The bottle of whiskey made its way round in a circle until it was drained, and then the beers were snapped from their plastic webbing. Brent passed out cigarettes, and all of us except for Mark had a smoke. Mark was cool like that. He didn't avoid smoking because it was bad for him or because his parents smoked and he didn't want to be like them. He just chose not to do it. He was a big blonde kid who wanted only to play basketball and be with his girlfriend, and that was cool. As the group dispersed, running around drunkenly and beating one another up, I sat down facing Mark and Jamie on the plateau. I grinned and slurred out, "Hey, gang!" "Hey, Sam," came the slurred reply. "And how are you two kids doing?" "Just fine, my friend, just fine," said Mark, who never got drunk, no matter how much he drank. Jamie giggled tipsily. "I hear you've got a new girl, dude." "Yeah, she's great. I adore her. I adore her so fucking much. It's great." "Good for you, man. Good for you. She's all into your big Conan-ness?" "Yeah, she thinks his spike's cute. It's nice." "Why, Sammy Marcus," giggled Jamie, "are you falling for a girl?" "You know, I very well may be." Hands grabbed the back of my overcoat and spun me around. Irish grinned excitedly into my perplexed face and screamed through his drunk exclamation of, "Dude! What?" Brent just rolled like the fattest joint ever. I howled, and me and Irish tumbled our way down from the concrete area where we stood. Mark and Jamie close behind us. We rushed out to where Brent stood grinning, holding a fat-ass blunt ready to be smoked. Pudgy was bouncing up and down, singing something that sounded like, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy." Tygirl couldn't stop laughing. "Light that shit up!" shrieked Irish, nearly wrenching his less-than-Jake shirt off in anticipation. Brent didn't have to be told twice. Our lighters flew one by one from our pockets, and we decimated that thing, 3 tokes and pass style. Good shit, too. We were all coughing up a storm. The minute I exhaled my third drag, I felt my brain cells begin to pop. Pop. Pop, pop, pop. Pop goes the weasel, and the weasel goes fucking crazy. Everything slowly turned into a rubber cartoon, and everyone seemed shorter. My legs had shrunk. How the hell could the sky and the ground come in on me like that? The fatty had gone in about 15 minutes, and we were gone with it. I stumbled over Brent, throwing my arms around him, and mumbled, "Well then, Bobby, you're in pants?" "Dude," Brent said, "I'm so fucking stoned." "So am I, mine cheese," yelled Pudgy, who was fighting Tigirl a la gorilla versus rodent. "Then join the line," I giggled, motioning with one arm. Pudgy rambled over, throwing his arm around my shoulder. Tigirl followed, then Irish, and we had a regular drunk line going. What with the 5 of us stumbling around and making mindless jokes, at one point Irish fell over, screaming something about fetuses, but we picked him up and carted his ass along. Eventually, Jamie and Marcus decided to go, hugging us goodbye and walking with arms linked to Jamie's place, our obscene hoots following them. We walked, arms around one another's shoulders, uptown to our houses. Somehow we got started in a chorus of "How Dry I Am," which led to a round of "Back Your Ass Up," which led to the Dead Kennedys. By the end, we were just 5 drunk teenagers screaming, "Kill, kill, 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 kill the poor!" It was great. The nights I lived for, very metal, very fun. Brent and Tigirl split off from us around 71st Street. They lived farther uptown on the east, so we let 'em go with a handshake and a drunken profession of friendship. Me, Irish, and Pudgy hauled towards 72nd Street Park exit, mumbled idiotic comments to one another about how incredibly gone we were, and then we turned a corner and saw her. She was leaning against the 72nd Street sign, talking to some girl I'd never seen before. They were giggling together and then turned heads and saw us, and froze. I tried to focus myself, but instead all I could notice was how big her eyes looked, like an anime character, like an image of her dressed in a high school girl outfit, grinning and flashing a peace sign exploded in my head. "Oh, hi! Shit! Hi!" I bellowed. "Hey, fancy seeing you here." Melissa looked at Irish and Pudgy hanging from my arms. "Who are these guys?" I made quick, sloppy introductions. Pudgy made some sort of inebriated comment, but Irish just stayed quiet. He didn't look so good all of a sudden. Melissa introduced me to her friend Kat, who reluctantly gave me the pound. I grinned like an idiot and finally managed to get out, "So, what are you doing tonight, my magical girl?" "Girl?" She looked at me funny. I'm just hanging with Kat." "Hey, is your friend okay?" "Who, Irish?" "Yeah, he's fine." I glanced back at Irish, whose freckles had taken a slightly green tint. "Dude, you okay?" "Okay enough to fuck some bitches." "What?" I wagged my palm at Melissa to tell her to wait. "Sorry, hold on 1 second. She tightened her face and nodded, visibly uncomfortable. "Irish, seriously, how you feeling?" "That kid's gonna pop," whispered Kat, looking at Irish as if he had demons coming out of his ears. "Like any second now." Melissa looked worried. "Well then, I don't want to disturb you guys. I should—" Wait up, just a minute. "Irish, are you okay?" With great effort, Irish raised his head to look at me. "You heard me. I'm fine, you goddamn big screwin'—" Melissa looked at Kat and mouthed the words, "Oh, God." I began to panic. "Sorry about this. He's just had a little much, is all. It's nothing really. He'll be fine." "Sam, it's fine. No big deal. Me and Kat have to—" No, I said. "No, he'll be fine. He's okay. It's cool." I was about to mention that this wasn't an uncommon situation for us, but decided that wouldn't help matters much. "He actually wanted to meet you," seeing as putting together a coherent sentence became rocket science and brain surgery at the same time. "He's heard so much, I've talked about us, so—" Irish jabbed a finger accusingly at Melissa. "Why are you freaking out so much, lady?" he spat, stumbling a few steps forward. "Sam, what's your little woman so fucking scared of? Afraid I'm gonna throw As if on cue, Irish reeled to his side and puked everywhere. He didn't spit up or have dry heaves. Full force hurled. A cheeseburger, 5 beers, and a quarter bottle of Jack went spilling all over the sidewalk, narrowly missing my dream girl's white sneakers. I giggled, blushing in embarrassment, and helped him out, patting him on the back, calling him a sick fuck. Just then I heard Melissa mumbling, "Right, I have to go. Bye, Sam," followed by footsteps. I pulled myself to my feet, wheeling round to follow her and leave Pudgy to help our sickly friend. "Wait, hey, Melissa!" I yelled after her. She never turned around. Not once, just kept walking. I took a couple of steps forward towards her, but decided on going any farther once I registered how blurry and wobbly my vision was. Chasing her down would just put me in the same position as Irish. "Melissa, please hold on!" She turned around, frustrated. "How plastered are you?" "What? How plastered are you?" There was no right answer to that question. "A lot." "Right. Go home, honey." She turned back around, shaking her head and striding away. I couldn't understand what had just happened. Finally, wasted and confused, I gathered up my friends and dropped them off at their buildings. My walk home was miserable. I had no one to keep me company, and I was slowly coming down, which was never good. I tried to listen to music, but it didn't work. Marijuana, alcohol, and possessed don't go well together. I stumbled my way up to my room, flung off my coat, and fell, fully clothed, onto my bed. My head began rotating, and in it I managed to get one line of thought going. Where'd she go? She was upset. I fucked up, didn't I? The room spun out of control. And that's the end of chapter 6. I hope the next time that this doesn't run so long. I didn't mean to make this such a long episode. Yeah, the next one shouldn't be too terribly long. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.